Alright guys, today we're going to be doing an unboxing of sorts of the 55-inch Sony A80K. So, as you guys see it here, this is the 55-inch, and we're going to unbox it to let you know what's inside. So smack like on this video, and let's get started. Now, one of the things that I notice about this particular model, the 55-inch version right here, as you can clearly see, once you snip the straps, it basically just lifts up like this. So you're going to have to finagle to get the television out of the box. It's not just going to come out immediately. And I think that's going to be annoying for some people who maybe aren't aware of that. But again, not a big deal, just something to note as we continue to move forward. So as we open the box, we can see this thick cardboard piece that goes in the front to help protect the screen. Well, it's not really thick so much as it is long. I guess it's thick. It's kind of hard. It's not really thick so much as like pretty solid. So, it's a nice piece to keep the styrofoam, I guess, and everything pretty tight. So inside we have a couple different things. Obviously we have the stand, which has multiple configurations to allow for a sound bar. You've got your power cord, and last but not least, you have your remote. Now, I'm not a huge fan of this remote. This remote kind of looks generic, if I do say so myself, but either way, you can see that I don't know if you can call this an attempt, but they made it look like metal. So I don't know, maybe some people would appreciate that, at least as far as the texturing, but it's pretty much the same exact remote that you can find on their entry-level sets, so not exactly ideal there in my opinion, but at least you have the information. Sony has a road to zero where basically they're trying to reduce their carbon footprint or whatever, but I really feel like with all of this plastic, I mean really, it's an awful lot of plastic, that there could be a little bit better that they can do. I feel like some of this packaging could be like maybe biodegradable, I don't know, like foam cardboard type stuff. Like, you've probably seen it before where it's just cardboard. Feels a lot like fabric. That would probably be better for a road to zero than literally all this plastic. So if you were interested in their, their green claims and things like that, you still do have this as a problem. And I have been talking about this for years. I won't harp on it, but it is something to note if you are somebody serious about their pledge for that. So be mindful of these two holes because Sony already has you covered. So as I showed you, you have to look out for the screws here. These are very important, okay? But you're going to take your screwdriver and you're going to put it through the hole, and then that is how you take these screws off. And I'm going to fast forward so you don't have to watch me do this, but you guys can see pretty much how it works. So once you have it off, you want the lower section. It's going to come from the manufacturer at this top point, but you want to line up with this because the low is going to give you the higher profile and the higher one is going to put it closer to the ground. So, and not even in theory, just this is how it goes. You put it at the bottom and then it stands up taller like so, versus obviously being closer to the television at the top. So just be mindful that if you have big fingers, this is going to be a massive pain. And yeah, God bless you, because I had a hell of a time, and I have fairly thin fingers, as you can probably see. This is not the easiest thing to screw in, so good luck, especially because the height they give you is not very tall. So I can't stress, if you have big hands, this is going to be pretty difficult to switch the positioning. So if you've got a wife or maybe a couple of kids around, maybe say, hey, can you help Pops out? Because this is definitely going to be difficult. Okay, so it's really super easy after all that. All you literally do is just line up where it goes and then push it into place, and that's literally it. I cannot stress how important the quick start piece of paper is for this particular television, because the C configuration for the soundbar is entirely way too wide for my media console, so I had to reconfigure to the B configuration, which allows you to be able to put it on a smaller stand. Now, I say smaller, but it's just Sony really takes liberties with their stand going literally all the way to the frame, making it so like if you have a stand that's 455 inches, it's not going to fit. So do not throw this paper away. It will come in handy if you need to set up that stand, because this was a little bit more involved, and that you had to switch the positioning a certain way, and literally just follow it to the letter. They'll show you how to do it. So yeah, that's what I would say there. So after that, all you do is just plug in the power cable in the back and you're mostly good to go. Now, they're still using the grid style backing. We've seen this from Sony since about 2017. So they're still using that. Not my favorite thing. It's a little dated at this point, but it's something to be said about Sony with consistency, I guess. And again, it's an all plastic backing. You guys can see this is the actual television itself. So that's all plastic, and then this is all plastic as well. And then of course we see our HDMI ports. We see our, digital out and stuff like that. So again, pretty generic stuff from there. It's not really like a whole lot that you have to really look at. And again, it is what it is, right? Now, I have to be honest about this, that there's no XR logo. There was a square XR logo in the back. It was to notate their cognitive processor, their premium line, and that's not here. So that's something that I don't enjoy, but this will have to be good enough. So let's turn on the Sony A80K for the first time. Upon turning it up or turning it on, you'll see a really dim screen here. Of course, we will change that in the settings later. You go to the welcome page and select your language. After selecting your language, you select your region or country. I'm going to select the United States. Next, you're going to choose the Google TV setup, whether you want the regular Google TV setup or the basic TV setup. I'm just going to hit the basic TV setup. After you input your Wi-Fi information, which I skipped, you're going to then be met with the Google Terms of Service. If you don't accept them, you cannot use this TV. So that is something that you are going to have to consider. So now we're set up and at least past the initial preliminary stuff. So now we start setting up Bravia TV. So we're going to hit start, and it's the same as prior Sony TVs. If you've seen how they're set up before, you go through the Bravia privacy policy. And I'm just going to hit proceed. Now voice recognition. I'm going to skip. Just going to keep going through all that. They tell you that you can go through and do a couple different things with voice recognition. So they tell you about the hands-free, the built-in mic on the back, whether you want it on or off. Power saving. We're going to take it from low to off. We don't need that. Then we're going to hit skip. And then you can choose to set up an HDMI device. I don't want to now. I'm going to hit next. Now you can choose whether you want it wall mounted or tabletopped. I'm going to hit tabletop. Now you do the acoustic calibration, which takes no time at all, but they do need access to the microphone to hear the acoustics of the room. And that's it. You can go in and select your various Apple AirPlay options. I don't need any of that stuff, so I don't deal with it. I'm going to set up for retail so we can get an idea of what the store demo is like. Now, that should be everything we have to do. Now, this menu is taking a while to load in, but once it loads in, you have everything you need. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn down the volume now so we don't get hit with any kind of copyright for music. I'm going to be in the demo app, and then you just hit start playback. That's how you forcibly get it to work. Turn it down again since it decided to turn itself back up. Nobody wants it to do that. And we wait for it to play. Don't really know what we're waiting for, so through the magic of editing, I'll wait until I figure it out and then put it up on the screen. The demo mode decided it didn't want to work, so the magic of editing does not happen. But we will show you some of what I have on my PlayStation 5, and I gotta say, out of the box, this thing looks disgusting. And I don't mean that any other way, but as honest as I can. I mean, colors are so bad. And I literally, all I did was just turn it on. No settings changed, nothing outside of the energy saving mode, as you guys saw. And I mean, it is so damn bad. Everything is overly bright, and I wouldn't say it's oversaturated or anything like that, but it looks really bad. It looks really bad. I mean, look at that right now. What even is that, Sony? Now, let's try to open up some of these settings because that's damn awful, okay? So out the gate, it's in vivid mode. I don't know why Sony puts it there, but yeah, vivid mode out of the box, total garbage. Again, that's a personal preference. Maybe you like this. Maybe like you look at this picture and you say, that's the one for me. For me, everything is just, it's over sharpened for sure, and it's clipping in areas that it shouldn't be, and the white balance is way off to the point where everybody looks blue. So it's not my thing. So we got standard. Standard kind of brings that down a little bit to a little more respectable. Let's see Cinema. Cinema, it's jaundice. It's the jaundice look, you know, but it's better than what we had. Game mode surprisingly isn't as bad as Vivid, so that's not terrible. Graphics is about the same as game mode. Photo is about the same as standard. IMAX enhanced, I see a lot more contrast. Maybe even some black crushing in some areas. I'd have to test that. But all right, so for all intents and purposes, I'm just gonna drop it into Cinema. But you guys get the idea. I mean, like, it's not like fantastic out of the box. You are gonna need to put in settings. You are gonna need to dial that in. Now for $5, I do it for you. Join my membership and I got you covered. But out of the box, you see what we're dealing with. It's not fantastic. And again, I haven't done anything to this TV. It's like just stock day one, like it is what it is. Now I am curious though, as you know, this is our first time with this TV hands-on kind of thing. If I go into picture settings and I go into motion, I wonder how the motion is, okay? And we're gonna see this in real time. Now I'm gonna max it out because that's a me thing. I really like the motion. Clearness, you can't change it. And custom, that's where we are. Okay, so, and is our Cinemotion on? One of the main questions we always have to ask. Cinemotion is on high. Okay, so right there, that's kind of like the generic, like how it plays out thing. And as Spider-Man is swinging around, so far no problems, but what I want to do is I want to go back to this train scene because this will show me a lot of inconsistencies if they exist. So as it's moving, it's still a bit jittery. It's not quite fluid. Not as bad as Hisense with their legendary motion blurring. Obviously, we're not really comparing a Sony to a Hisense, at least not one of this nature. Well, maybe. I mean, if the price is about the same, I actually can't really say. Some people might actually make that comparison to ask between like the U8H or this, which one. So, I don't know. All right, so let's try to see some more stuff here. I've got some other things that maybe will show us a little bit more of an idea, but again, that white balance is really off. Like, look at how blue the logo is. That's supposed to be gray, but really it just looks blue, and that's in cinema mode, guys. Like, that's bad. Standard is even more blue, but that's pretty blue, and I think that's Sony's biggest problem right now. Like, they can't let go of the blue. Everything for them is like, it has to be blue, and I just don't understand it personally. I mean, what is the infatuation with the color blue? You know, I'll live 100 years and probably never know. But as far as like the general presentation right now for PS5, it is sharp, it is clear. So obviously I don't have any problems with that. Obviously we're going to do comparisons against the Samsung S95B to see how it does there. And a bunch of other TVs as well. We're going to test some things and whatnot, but so far as my first impressions, it has potential. Motion seems to be better than on the A95K. So far so good. I mean, like as I'm going through like the usual test pieces and looking for motion, I would say the motion for this is pretty much on par, at least right now. I haven't done an actual test. Impression, out of the box, not a final review. Cannot stress that enough. But from just gauging it off of initial impressions, it's very similar to what I have with the Samsung S95B in terms of motion. And I can't honestly say I have a problem with what I'm seeing right now, which is good. That's actually a benefit. Finally, something I can enjoy out of Sony and their experience here. But all right, I'll digress. I've got to set some things up, maybe put some settings in for this thing. But as far as the first impression, it's all right. It's not great. It's not the best thing I've ever seen, but it does the job. So that being said, I want to thank you guys for watching the #1 brand in honesty. And until the next video, I'll see you guys later.